you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you to the Kairaba International Conference Center here in the Gambia. To begin proceedings for this morning, we would like to invite Sheikh Sadibou Haidara to lead us in Muslim prayers.
بسم الله الصلاة على النبي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا اللهم صل على سيدنا وعلى سيدنا اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم ملك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين واهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم ربنا أنزل علينا في هذه الساعة من خيرك وبركاتك ما أنزلته على أوليائك وخصصت به أحبائك وأعذقنا برد عفوك وحلاوة مغفرتك وانشر علينا رحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وارزقنا منك محبة وقبولا وتوبة نصوحا وإجابة ومغفرة وآفية تعم الحاضرين والغائبين الأحياء منهم الميتين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Ya Sheikh. At this point, we'd like to invite Margaret Thomas to lead us in Christian prayers.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this morning. We give you all the praise for life, for health and strength. We thank you for this land of the Gambia. We thank you for the rain that came in last night. We give you all the praise. We ask that you take control over this meeting, this opening, this launching, for the betterment of this country. Speak through all the ones that will be speaking for what you want them to do for this land. And we give you all the praise. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Power on. 2.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the prayers, Ms. Margaret Thomas and Sheikh Sadibou. We'd like to welcome you here this morning and also to bear witness the unveiling of a presidential candidate as United National Unity Party flag bearer. There'll be two speakers here this morning. One will be the national chairman and president of the party, and the second one will be by the flag bearer of the National Unity Party. Thereafter, we have ladies and gentlemen of the media here who we will avail the opportunity to ask as many questions as they will regarding the construction and or plans for the National Unity Party as regards to December 4th elections that we are all gearing up for. The first speaker, therefore, this morning is the chairman, national chairman of the National Unity Party, Mr. Usman Jammeh. Born on the 13th of August 1953, he is a Gambian retired civil servant. He was educated at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, at the Fin Africa Institute in Milan and the University of East Anglia with master's degree in rural development in 1984. He held the post of Gambian Foreign Minister from September 2009 to June 2010, having previously held the post of Energy Minister from May 2008 to September 2009 and deployed as Energy Minister in June 2010. He also served as Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service in 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, Chairman of the National Unity Party, Mr. Usman Jammeh.
can be allowed to take all this.
Well, you distance from everybody, I suppose.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Good morning. Members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, eminent invitees present here today, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a watershed moment in the political history of the Gambia. A new political movement focused on the general interest of Gambians and anchored on the novel paradigms is being ushered in. The National Unity Party, NUP, was established in August 2018 and got registered with the Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, on the 5th of October 2020. When the party was conceived, the cardinal philosophy of the founders was to build a people's movement with a shared vision and interest in national development, and to create a merit-based government as opposed to party affiliation. To set the standards, a resolution was adopted at inception that none of the founders shall vie for the positions of chairmanship of the party or presidential candidacy. The founders also enshrined the issue of term limits in the party's governance structure. The standard bearer of the party will serve for no more than 2 consecutive terms, both at the helm of the party and as a president of the Gambia when elected. This philosophy of the party projects and portrays our belief that the ownership of our movement or party rests entirely on the collective entity of its bona fide members and not on any one individual. The need to unite all the people of the Gambia, irrespective of political, racial, religious, and tribal affiliations, the need to curb the rise in corruption, and the need to improve the standard of living for all Gambians is the cornerstone of the NUP socio-economic development agenda. The NUP development program lays emphasis on decentralization. In other words, the devolution of power to the regions or to the local level. Secondly, it also seeks to enhance the business and investment environment of the Gambia to attract both domestic and foreign direct investment that will support the generation of income, employment opportunities, particularly for the Gambian youth, and to provide good quality and affordable health care and an efficient education system. Our party manifesto, which will be launched pretty soon, has a well thought out program of action covering a wide range of issues or critical needs that we pledge to implement if voted into power. I can assure you that it is a realistic program and that it has the Gambian people's interest at its core. But above all, it is a program that is implementable. In other words, we are not going to be saying things that we know we cannot commit ourselves to implementing. That's why I said it's a realistic program, and we want to ensure the Gambians that this is a program that is implementable. If you are ready for a dynamic political change and you believe in honesty, transparency, accountability, equal opportunities for all Gambians, inclusiveness, putting the Gambia first, and protecting our environment and natural resources jealously, you are in the right place. Join the National Unity Party today for a brighter future. The actions we take today will determine the future of our homeland, the Gambia, and the future of our children. It is not about being the best. It is about being better than we were yesterday. When we began the search for a flag bearer to lead the NUP in the December polls, we set the bar very high with regards to the qualities a person must possess, bearing in mind also the party's principles and objectives. We believe we have found those qualities in our chosen candidate in the person of Mr. Ablai Ibrahima Jame. Mr. Jame has a long career in the civil and public service, spanning over decades of selfless service to the people of the Gambia. In the process, amassing a wealth of experience in leadership. He attended the Muslim High School and Gambia High School, where he obtained his honorary and advanced level certificates, respectively. He later proceeded to the Glasgow Caledonian University in the United Kingdom, where he acquired a postgraduate diploma in Information Systems Management and a master's degree, MSc degree, in Development Management. His professional qualifications were attained in Human Resources Management, Strategic Planning, Aviation Safety and Security, among others. He started his public service career as a teacher at the Gambia High School before joining the Personnel Management Office, where he rose through the ranks to the position of Senior Assistant Secretary. Mr. Jame later joined the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority, where he served as Corporate Planning Manager, Deputy Director General, and finally, to the very top, Director General. And he served in that capacity for a period of 9 years. In summary, Ablai's expertise and experience make him a good fit to lead this country at this crucial stage in its history. We will have the opportunity to learn more about his vision for this country and many more. As the saying goes, we will hear from the horse's mouth. Without much ado, thank you most sincerely for responding to our invitation. I will take this opportunity to implore you, the Gambian electorates, now I'm speaking directly to the Gambian electorates, for the love of the Gambia, to vote NUP come 4th December 2021. At this point, I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We're experiencing some sound challenges at the moment, so I will quickly give the media just a minute to see if the sound has improved or not. Also, if the facility here can also assist us with better quality sound, all the media houses are complaining about the quality for viewers at home. So quickly, if somebody can advise me if we are to go ahead. But also it's very appreciative seeing a lot of political leaders present here today. I think it also goes to demonstrate the social cohesion that we have been known for as the Gambia. So today's event had invited other political leaders from other political parties, including independent candidates. Without much ado, we'll call on the presidential flag bearer and also to have the media prepared also with questions. He will give a statement. At the end of the statement, we will do a press conference of some sort where we can be asking questions and getting the responses. So I'm being told they're still working on the sound. I hope we have had improvements now. Please do give me a sign. I don't want him to come up here if the sound is not perfect. Call on Mr. Abdullahi Jame. The chairman of the National Unity Party has elaborated on the achievements, education of His Excellency Abdullahi Ibrahima Jame. I will not go into that, but we'll give him the opportunity to deliver his statement, and at the end of it, the media will also have an opportunity.
Have enough space here for almost thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies. Chairman and party leader of the National Unity Party, other heads of the various political parties in the Gambia who are here present, members of the diplomatic and consular corps, members of the National Unity Party, distinguished elders and invitees, members of the Fourth Estate, the press, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to express my profound pleasure for this unusual privilege, which is no less an honor to be appointed as the flag bearer of the National Unity Party. This party is a unique one and has a brand that is unlike any operating conventional political party in the Gambia. The founders' decision not to lead the party is informed by their unequivocal commitment to creating a people-driven movement that will be owned and led by the ordinary members rather than by the founding fathers and the main benefactors of the party. This principle necessitated their laudable resolution to enshrine time limits in the party's governance structure, which is not only meant to foster democratic development, but also give opportunity to other leaders that will be created to continue the party's path to ushering in and maintaining a better Gambia. Naturally, each of the founding members could make great presidents for this country. However, they saw their mission as a selfless one, meant to redeem a great country and pull it out of the abyss and place it on a pedestal of hope. Consequently, they did not put themselves up to be the flag bearer, but rather approached me to lead this great party into the forthcoming elections. After a careful review of the party's guiding principles and the manifesto, my buy-in was total, and I gladly accepted the challenge of flag bearer. It is my fervent belief that the great minds leading NUP, coupled with the revolutionary policies and ideas in the manifesto, and my 35 years of public service, provide a winning formula that will transform this country. At this point, I wish to share with you the perspective of the National Unity Party on key topical issues captured in the party's manifesto, which is dubbed the People's Manifesto. We call it the People's Manifesto because it was developed by the general membership through wide consultations with subject matter specialists and inputs from ordinary Gambians working in these sectors. I start with the economy and enterprise. The small economy of the Gambia relies mainly on rain-fed agriculture, tourism, and in recent years on remittances, which makes the country vulnerable to external shocks. The most vulnerable sectors of the economy, agriculture and services, employ over 75% of the workforce. The Gambia faces a host of long-term developmental challenges, such as an undiversified economy, small internal market, fast rate of population growth, and limited necessary skills required for a change in the employment structure. Similarly, the private sector is weak, and there is a high rate of youth unemployment and out-migration. Also, most government borrowings or loans are used mainly for consumption rather than for income generation. It is apparent that the economy needs some structural transformation in order to seek a better future for the country. These include inclusive economic growth, job creation, poverty reduction, and food security in an environmentally, economically, and socially sustainable way. Therefore, when elected into office, NUP government will develop a roadmap for the revival of the Gambian economy and institute a debt reduction plan. We will strengthen domestic resource mobilization by reducing the corporate tax of businesses and widening the tax base to enhance compliance.
This will ease the burden of taxation on businesses and also encourage investors to start new businesses. In addition to regard with business opportunities in the country and reduce the rural-urban drift, which is anchored on our strategic objective of enhancing employment prospects for youths in all parts of the country, and NUP government will review the investment legislation to introduce zero tax payment in respect of corporation tax for a period of 10 years of businesses with capital investment valued at $250,000 or $12.5 million and above in specifically designated areas of the country. Providing quality and accessible education. This is now education, our perspective on education. Providing quality and accessible education will be one of the key priorities of an NUP government. It is absolutely clear that as a country, we cannot attain sustainable development if our education system is substandard. Despite progress being made in the education sector in terms of infrastructure, there is a greater need for a quality, affordable, and relevant education system to reflect the reality of the people of this country. We will pursue a vigorous drive towards creation of a technologically driven society to cope with increasing demands of the 21st century. Our government will also ensure that there is a capable and a well-paid corps of teachers, and this will be done by improving their conditions of service, amongst others. In this regard, a Teachers Service Commission will be set up, principally designed for the protection of teachers' interests. There is a need to promote vocational and skills training centers where pragmatic and skills-based education can be taught. Therefore, an NEP government will make sure that vocational training centers are made available where youth will be trained in order to be self-employed in carpentry, metalwork, woodwork, auto mechanics, soap making, upholstery, plumbing, electrical, hairdressing, etc. and etc. Our perspective on health and well-being. An NUP government will ensure universal health coverage and enhance the focus on primary health care while upgrading secondary and tertiary facilities. Our aim is to provide good quality health care in our hospitals and health centers for all Gambians at the point of need 7 days a week. One of our key delivery plans is to upgrade health facilities and infrastructure by building state-of-the-art hospitals in all administrative regions in the country. Our government will also put in place a planned cyclical maintenance regime for all facilities and ensure durability and continuous efficient service delivery. We will review remuneration for health care workers with a view to augmenting their low pay and also providing continuous capacity building for them. Another key deliverable of the NEP health plan will be the establishment of a national health insurance scheme which aims to provide accessible health care for all Gambians. Therefore, we will consult on the establishment of legislation for the scheme as a matter of urgency. Our perspective on agriculture, livestock, and fisheries. Agricultural production is the main economic activity of the country, comprising subsistence farming and cash crop production. There is a little diversification in the sector, and it is mainly subsistence and rain-fed. Agricultural output only meets 50% or less of the food requirements of the country, and crop yields are generally very low. Nonetheless, it is a major driver of economic growth in the country. The agriculture and animal resources sector consists of 4 subsectors. That's agriculture, in crops, livestock, poultry, research and development and service providers, fisheries, forestry, wildlife. NEP is aware of the importance and challenges of this sector and gives it a central role in the pursuit of economic development. Therefore, NEP recognizes that for effective transformation of the sector, agricultural policy formulations need to transcend the traditional realm of agricultural sector institutions, which primarily deal with on-farm production. Our approach to the transformation of the sector includes the coordination and implementation of agricultural and non-agricultural policies in order to induce the desired structural changes in ways that will contribute meaningfully to our main objectives of economic growth: poverty reduction, job creation, food security, high productivity, and sustainable resources management. The Gambia is endowed with a great river, as well as substantial underground water resources. According to the FAO, only 6% of cultivated land in Africa on average is irrigated. The Gambia is no exception to this appalling level of agricultural production through irrigation. The NUP will therefore put emphasis on irrigation agriculture to maximize agricultural production and productivity, and to ensure that agricultural activity is undertaken throughout the whole country on an all-year-round basis. To achieve this, the NUP will include program of action for agricultural development, specific projects that will address the key areas of intervention, which will include, but not limited to, the following actions. One is to provide farmers, that's both groups and individuals, the necessary financial and technical support to enable them to acquire irrigation facilities such as boreholes, tube wells, water pumps, irrigation pipes and accessories, as well as providing them with the necessary skills to efficiently operate and manage irrigation systems in a sustainable manner. Two, to put in place policies that promote equality of land tenure for women, as well as their access to other resources, including financial resources. I expect women to clap. Three is to actively promote youth self-development in all forms of agricultural activity, especially in horticulture, poultry and small ruminant production, through the revival and strengthening of the Young Farmers Clubs. This is for the youth. These clubs could be the conduit for government support, as well as support from other partner organizations. Agro-processing will be afforded
an equally high priority to enhance value addition in agriculture, as well as reducing post-harvest losses. An NUP government and its partners in development will establish a line of credit for those engaged in agro-processing and need financial support. An NUP government will also establish a credible national development program to support sustainable and independent agricultural finance, credit unions, and activities at regional and district levels. The NUP government will also create access to agricultural lending at the regional level. In the same vein, engage local banks to create tools or products to actively support agricultural lending. An NUP government will also actively promote private sector investment and participation
to not only return to contribute their quota to national development, but to also venture into specific
areas of investment in commercial agriculture. We'll also provide matching grant funding together with arable land to serious investors in Gambian agriculture. NUP will also actively promote the production of short-cycle species of livestock such as poultry and small ruminants, most of which are imported annually when we have the potential to produce enough for local consumption and even export to the sub-region and beyond. We'll also review all fisheries agreements and licenses issued to foreign entities with a view to rationalizing the exploitation of this vital resource and ensure maximum participation of the benefits to the Gambian people. We will also provide better incentive packages for industrial fishing companies that are committed to job creation for Gambians. We'll encourage investors, both local and foreign, operating fishing trawlers in our waters to process their catches on land facilities here in the Gambia and to ensure that all fish exports are channeled through our seaport. It's noteworthy that game-changing policies do require requisite legislation to move forward to creating statutes. The sponsorship for pertinent legislation will become a key undertaking for an NUP government. Our perspective on governance and institutions. Over the past 2 decades, we have witnessed the politicization of the civil and the public service, leading to a very high attrition rate for many Gambian experts. In view of the urgent need to revive the civil and the public service, an NUP government will initiate programs aimed at ensuring institutional reforms. We will reform the civil service into a merit-based and depoliticized cadre of professionals, where we will assign the right officer to the right job in both the civil service as well as the local government without any political consideration. An NUP government will also review the issue of ministries with a view to rationalizing or reducing the number geared towards reducing costs and reinvesting any savings to our priority projects in education, health, and agriculture. We'll also rationalize the use of government vehicles by setting up a new team headed by a technically competent fleet controller to manage the procurement, allocations, maintenance, and disposal of government vehicles. An NUP government will promote and prioritize electronic tender processing. In addition, our government will embark on local government reforms as we strive to devolve greater power and decision-making to the people through an empowered local government. We will reform the local government system and review the United Nations Local Government Decentralization Project. Our government will undertake a boundary review of all 7 regions, which may possibly result in the creation of new regions. Thus, the local government structure may be refined with the introduction of city government model in the 7 regions, where directly elected mayors will be responsible for delivering on the interrelated urban city matters. This will also lead to the devolution of small infrastructure initiatives to village levels by transferring resources and decision-making power to the people. Within 6 months of being elected into office, an NUP government will convene a national conference of eminent Gambians at home and abroad who are experts in their subject areas to carve out a blueprint to support government's development agenda. Each service block will select its own chairperson to lead the team. Ministries will be appraised annually based on agreed key performance indicators, KPIs, and with an achievement target of 70%. Any ministry that performs below this target without strong mitigations will have its minister replaced. The monitoring of the KPIs will be undertaken by the Audit Commission, whose recommendations will be submitted to the President for action. In order to safeguard the autonomy of the National Assembly, coupled with our desire to pursue the doctrine of separation of powers, an NUP government will work with the legislature to abolish the President's right to nominate the Speaker and the 4 members of the National Assembly. Our perspective on women, youth, and sports. It goes without saying that women and youth are the backbone of every economy, and the Gambia is no exception. The key to meaningful development is the empowerment of these important groups in our society. Consequently, an NUP government will effectively implement policies and initiatives to increase access to education, proper health care services, economic opportunities, and legal protection for women and youth. Our government will increase funding for the Indigenous Business Advisory Services to promote microfinance to women and youth, as well as establishing a national enterprise fund to support innovations and SMEs for these groups. An NUP government will also provide leadership training programs for women and youth with the aim of capacitating them to be able to take up leadership positions in the country. It is an indisputable fact that sports is one of the most marketable sources of living for youth in the 21st century. It is a means that can be utilized to help reduce illegal migration, drug abuse, and unemployment. Therefore, an NUP government will fund sports by investing in sports infrastructure around the 7 regions of the country. We will build stadia capable of hosting many sporting activities aimed at decentralizing sports at the grassroots. We will also seek a partnership to establish capacity building facilities for sports in the Gambia. Our foreign and external policy. An NUP government's foreign policy shall seek to redefine and realign the Gambia's position on the international stage. The overarching principle of our external relations will be premised on the prioritization of Gambia's interests, while maintaining a policy of mutual beneficial relationships across all realms of its engagement on the international stage. An NUP government will be an active player in global affairs. Within the scope of Gambia's first external relations policy agenda, our government will take deliberate positions to ensure that diplomatic relations are not only mutually beneficial, but have a corresponding positive economic impact on the lives and livelihoods of the average Gambian. We aim to review our external relations to ensure that we have a more robust, proactive, and a specialized foreign service that will prioritize political economic diplomacy to national development and an essential tool in the drive to transform the Gambia. At this juncture, let me take the opportunity to revitalize the Gambian economy through foreign direct investment and trade. Our government will establish an independent review of the embassies with a view to reducing their numbers and establishing the Gambia's presence in strategically critical locations only. We will also strengthen the country's embassies to provide emergency relief and other support to citizens facing hardships in case of any tragedy. Expanding and restoring the fractured forests of the Gambia through 7 million trees planted across the 7 regions spread over 5 years. We will strengthen disaster management, especially our response capability and capacity, while also reducing disaster risk. An NUP government will aim to internalize and integrate true environmental cost in all economic decisions, whilst endeavoring to deliver affordable and sustainable clean energy. Promote clean transport, champion green infrastructure, effectively manage waste, promote efficient agriculture, and preserve our wetlands, wildlife, and biodiversity. We'll also promote and support private sector investments in environmental and renewable energy sectors through attractive tax incentives for small, medium, and large enterprises, whilst implementing and improving the existing environmental policies. Our government will enforce the ban on single-use plastics in the economy. Energy and water. I'm sure that's long awaited. There cannot be any meaningful development without reliable, affordable energy supply. It's a critical infrastructure. However, the erratic nature of water and energy supply in the Gambia poses significant social and economic challenges to the country. There is their need to reduce energy imports and also shift balance to greener and sustainable alternatives. An NUP government will urgently work on tackling these perennial problems. We will urgently look at the possibility of unbundling electricity and water services at NAWEC with the view to promoting public-private partnership initiatives to enhance efficiency and affordability. Corruption. Corruption is a malice that threatens the peace, stability, prosperity of the Gambia. An NUP government will seriously prioritize the fight against corruption and will institute stringent measures to curb this menace. We will ensure that electronic tender processing is established as a matter of urgency. Our government will also set up an anti-corruption commission within the first 6 months in office and we wish to be on record that we will totally back the Commission without fail in order for it to operate deprived of fear, favor, or ill will. Those found wanting will face the full force of the law. In conclusion, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow Gambians, it will not be amiss to conclude that the Gambia is at a serious crossroads, both politically and economically. As a country, we need to come together and heal if we are to unlock the vast potential of this great nation and at this crucial stage of our country's transitory phase. NAP is the party that can unite the people and usher in the desired change. This country needs a new bunch of capable, honest, and trustworthy leaders that will provide equal opportunities to all Gambians, irrespective of tribe, religion, gender, or political affiliations. Don't be surprised that a new government will be appointing ministers from other parties. When Gambians fully appreciate the ideals and leadership of NUP, they will realize that it is the party that can put the country on a pedestal of hope and usher in meaningful development. I encourage Gambians to turn out in their numbers massively, vote for NUP on December 4th. I probably cannot end this without quoting one of my most favorite poets of all times. It's called Henry W. Longfellow. Longfellow wrote that it's not enjoyment or sorrow that is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow finds us further than today. We'll ensure that we're a different country beyond December 4th, 2021. God bless Gambia and God bless NUP.
Thank you very much. Abdullah Ibrahim Jame, presidential candidate for the National Unity Party there. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, it's your moment now. I think we will take maybe next half an hour. Mr. Jame, next half an hour?
That's okay. I'm available.
We take about 30 minutes with the media.
Okay.
So state your media house, your name, and fire away.
No missiles, huh? Normal bullet.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
I am Suleiman Wan from the Point newspaper.
Yeah.
Mr. Jame, today you announced your candidature ahead of December for the election.
Yeah.
And there are so many political parties in Gambia that came before your political party. And others are described as giant political parties. We have independent candidates. Are you willing to form an alliance with any political party ahead of December? The second question is, you talk about youth employment, providing youth employment through agricultural diversification, among other issues. And we have so many young people who graduated from GTTI and other private vocational institutions without job. Some of them don't have anything to do there at all. What will the National Unity Party do for them in case we win the election?
Thank you very much. Point newspaper. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. The first question is, too many political parties. Are you willing to go into an alliance? Certainly, as a party, we will not rule out going into alliance, but our party, the reason why we didn't just go and join any other party is because we consider our party to be very different. We consider our party to be a unifying party. I mean, it's quite obvious in this country that we all know that the country is divided deeply along partisan lines. That's obvious to everybody, but we have styled our party as a unifying party, and if there is any other party whose ideals are similar or consistent with ours, we don't have any issues with going into coalition. with that party. The other question is youth. What are we going to do for the youth of this country? Considering the fact that the training institutions are churning out quite a number of them on a yearly basis, and they're not doing anything, they're not gainfully employed. I just want to say that if you listen to my speech, I did mention the formation of an enterprise development fund, which is going to support innovation, especially for youth and women, the vulnerable groups of the society. To help them innovate, but at the same time, to set up enterprises. The fact of the matter is a government cannot employ every citizen in this country. So in as much as we are talking about providing jobs for them, we also want them to be able to create jobs for themselves. So it shouldn't just be job seeking, it should also be job creation. So these are some of the things that are strongly outlined, clearly stipulated in our manifesto. Once we launch it, you'll be able to see exactly what activities and programs we have for the youth of this country.
Thank you very much. My name is Kevin Kamara. I'm a freelance journalist. Thank you so much, Mr. Jame. My first question, I don't know what you have been doing since you reached the party. We've seen some independent or opposition parties going throughout the country, going to the interland, going to rural Gambia, asking women, asking youth, asking people what are their problems and how they can solve them. But I'm not sure with the National Unity Party, if you've done something like this to go through the length and breadth of the nation and to ask people what they are going through and how you can help. The second question is, many opposition will emerge when they are not happy with the government of the day. Are you saying that Adama Barrow and his government, coalition government, are not doing much about health, about education, about corruption, and that's why there is this National Unity Party coming up to make sure we give them our votes and they will solve the problems?
Thank you, Mr. Kamara. Your first question, if you can repeat it again, because I want to answer in sequence.
We've seen some independent opposition parties going throughout the...
Okay, I remember now, the fact is we're doing politics differently. Just like we said, our party is unique, we're doing things differently. For your information, this party has been in existence since 2018. I wasn't a member. I mean, it was said in the speech of the national chairman that the party decided, the founding members of the party decided that none of them would lead the party. So as a candidate, I've been invited by the party. But I know they've been in existence since 2018. They've done a lot of grassroots mobilization. People have different approaches. Some will go with the fanfare, go around the country talking to people. Others will do it in the backyards, in the kitchens, in private and unclosed environment. So we've done a lot of that. In fact, that's why, in the speech I did mention that our manifesto is dubbed the People's Manifesto. This is a manifesto which is developed by the citizens of this country in all walks of life, because it was done through extensive consultation, with everybody, and of course with party members and subject matter specialists. But the desire is not just to come with an imposed solution, but is to get people involved in the process of developing solutions. First, you need to clearly understand what the problem is, and secondly, you need to partake in the process of finding solution for the problems itself. Okay? Now, the second one is the current government working? That's a no-brainer. We all have our challenges. I do believe that there wouldn't be everywhere, in every nook and cranny of this country. You'll be surprised. That really happened. Yes. I wouldn't say totally that, that this government is not doing anything. But at least we want to live a better life than the one that we live today. And we know that we have the potential. We can be a better country, we can be a bigger state, not in terms of land mass, but in terms of what we're constituted of as a people. That's very clear. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Good morning. My name is Fatou from Untitled Chapter. You have talked about investments in agriculture, but what I want to ask is about investments in agriculture. Do you have any plan for them to build storage facility for them in order for them to keep their products? Thank you.
Well, yes, thank you, Madam Toure of Home Digital FM. We do have plans for that, but just beyond that, we're also talking about agro-processing industries. And this will help to reduce post-harvest loss, for them, because we know that agriculture or horticulture growing is seasonal in this country. Sometimes you get a bumper of the harvest, but then that's just for a short window in time, and then there'll come a time when you won't have anything at all. So we think value addition in agriculture is key, and agro-processing is a key priority for the NUP government. And of course, storage comes with all of that. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Alan Manu. Congratulations on the launching of the NUP Gambia. The question is, why should Gambians vote for you? With respect, unrelated to political terms, when you have other established politicians in the country, that's well, that or just one simple. Why should Gambians vote for you? You probably might have answered this, right?
Okay, yeah.
The second question is realistic. Do you think you've already come too late? In other words, don't you agree that you've come in the 11th hour when already or many Gambians have already aligned themselves with political parties in the event?
I believe you came in late. I believe you came in late, yes. Yeah, because someone asked that question here before, similar to that. And I said this party has been in existence since 2018. We may not be visible on the print media, but we're very visible in every home in the Gambia. We are heard and felt in every home in the Gambia. And that's why we're going to pull a big surprise, in this election. You will be surprised, really, to see what's happening. Yes, you did say, why do you vote for us? I mean, you don't vote for me, you vote for the brand of politics we're talking about. Because this is one party that has enshrined in its governance structure term limits. And they have decided that nobody is going to own this party. So the founders have decided to take the back bench, and they are not going to put themselves forward as flag bearer. That's a commitment they have. So self-perpetuation is out. And I don't think you can, I'm not sure I've read a lot of other political parties' manifesto, but it's even in our constitution that 2-term limits, either in opposition or in government. After 10 years, you'll not see my face in the executive of this party. I'm gone. And we also believe that as a party, we need to create leaders. Where you see self-perpetuation, there is a failure of leadership. In fact, leadership experts say that the key function of leadership is to create more leaders than followers. I'm also a student of Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is a Chinese philosopher. What he said is that at the end of the days of a great leader, when his work is done, when all his aims are met, people will say of him, we did it ourselves. It's not the leader who does it, it's the people who do it. So I think this party is putting and projecting a brand which is very different. So, and people will fall in love with it. Especially the younger folks will fall.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ibrahim Ekonte from Tech Production Youth Project. Currently, we are 9,737 members across the country, and then we are all youths. And I must say this, I am inspired by the fact that you say government cannot provide employment for everybody. Youths, the members of the country, needs to provide employment for themselves. So the fact that we are 9,737 and all what we do is to venture in production, because we believe that every human being is tested with talents and powers, it's left to the individual to realize who he or she really is and make through it. So I want to ask this question: what really do you have for those youths that already assembled themselves, put themselves together, and then are doing production as a way of living? Thank you.
Yeah, it brings me back to the same answer we gave. I mean, in our manifesto, we're making a commitment to creating an enterprise development fund for innovation and for SMEs. Our focus is going to be on the youth. The youth are the future of this country, and we're going to also garner support through development partnership to ensure that we give youth the opportunity not just to be employed, but to be able to create employment for themselves as well. So this is a key feature in our manifesto, and it's our commitment, to the electorates, because we'll be selling this to you, to get your votes. But this is, for us, is very important that we are able to make this provision of creating an enterprise development fund that affects the youth, but not just the youth, but also the women and other, vulnerable, segments of society.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Buwa Galigo from Jafari. My first question is about the LGBT. Will your government allow the existence of LGBT? And the second question is, we've seen so many political parties issuing statements in regards to the NPP-APRC coalition. What is your take on this?
Okay. You journalists make life very difficult.
Especially now that you're looking at Uluja and Mayor Yakuba Koli.
Yeah, LGBT. We as NUP intend to form a government for the people and by the people. A government should reflect the wishes and the values of the people. We're not going to mince word over these things, because these are alien concepts to us, LGBT or whatever it is. Our laws should reflect our values. We are in a society that is consistent of different religions, and I don't know of any religion that tolerates LGBT. 99% of the citizens of this country belong to one faith or the other. And that's a fact, it's a given. Now, we're not imposing our will on the people. The laws are made by people. It's either through referendum or through your legislators that are voted into the National Assembly. But the popular feeling and the popular belief and the popular values are what will be enshrined in our Constitution. So LGBT is not, for me, it's a non-issue here because it's not consistent with our values as a people. It's not consistent with our religious values, our beliefs and everything. So, we're not going to mince our words about that, to be honest with you. Okay? Now, the thing about NPP-APRC alliance, this is democracy. As far as I'm concerned, NPP is a legal party in the Gambia, is registered. APRC is a legal party in the Gambia, and like someone asked the question, are you willing to go into an alliance? I'm willing to go into an alliance. So I don't have any problems with that, and I know there are a lot of good people in NPP, a lot of good people in APRC, so I don't have any issues with that. I think basically what people may be generally concerned is about the content of that agreement. And the concern is because there is a segment of our society called the victims.
Will the content of that agreement infringe on the rights of those victims? That's something else. You know what I'm saying? But we don't know. I'm not privy to that, and I don't want to speculate on that. But as a party, APRC is a legitimate party, registered in the country. NPP is registered. If they choose to go into coalition, I mean, as a party, I don't think we have any issues with that. Yeah?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Alaji Chanaswari from the Gambia Revolution. First, I would love to thank you for taking steps to be part of the candidates that want to give a proper structure to the country. Notwithstanding, after listening to your point, I've learned that you've collaborated in so many areas, which is a very beautiful manifesto. With this, if adopted, or any political party that would adopt such a thing, looks very beautiful for the country. However, I have a little doubt. You've talked about enterprising development fund. You talked about sponsoring hotels where to provide a proper structure that will attract tourism. You talked about improving the health status. You also talked about bringing a 0% tax for 10 years that will improve businesses. But then looking at the view at this point, the Gambia is highly indebted according to records, that is over 60%. If your government should embark on this project for 10 years, how are we going to sustain the 10% or the highly debt that the country is facing? In short, how are we going to make this happen if we are highly in debt?
Well, we did say that we are going to reduce tax, and the whole idea is to encourage new investments. We also did say that we're going to enhance compliance because we believe that there is a lot of leakage. We did say that we're going to set up an anti-corruption commission, and you know what that means, you know, setting up that commission. That shows that something is going right. So what we believe, we are not fully realizing our revenue potentials. And we did also say that we're going to rationalize ministries, institutional arrangements, you know, just to create some savings so that we can spend on our priority projects. But we are also aware that we can use other models of development, like the PPP models, public-private partnership models, like BOTs, for example. If you take a loan, it's a burden. But if you have an investment, it swells your GDP. So that's a given. So there are different ways of, accessing funding for most of the projects that we are talking about. And we're going to place a lot of accent on private sector participation, and especially Gambian diasporans as well. We know that they do have access to some resources, but possibly, the environment isn't right for them to come and invest. We've seen even our neighbor Senegal here, we see a lot of investment from diaspora, and this is something that we can do.
Okay, my name is Agulio from N24. You talk about corruption. But then, do you really think that your government will be able to eradicate corruption without increasing the salary?
Without?
Increasing the salary.
Salary?
Yes.
Well, I mean, this is a very good question. It's a very good question, because you see, like, if you want people to stop touching things that don't belong to them, they should feel enough somehow. And not in the sense that you'll have everything, but at least you should be able to meet the basics of your life. They say your take-home pay should be able to take you home. If your take-home pay cannot take you home, you'll be like me, a policeman in the streets asking for attire. So it's not going to happen. So you don't, before you ask people, you impose standards on people, you should also be prepared to provide an environment for them. So this is something that we're going to look at. In fact, as part of our manifesto, we are looking at the possibilities of introducing minimum wage. And not just that, but we know the cost of living is high. Because right now, the last time government increased salary 50%, it's like they didn't do anything. Because if you increase 50% and the cost of living is going 70%, it's like you'll be playing eternal catch-up. Nothing is going to happen. But that's an area that we need to look at. You don't ask people to do things that they don't have the capacity to do. If you say stop touching, stop, messing with public funds, you should create the opportunity for them to live a decent life. Okay?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mariam. I'm a reporter at Star TV. I just wanted to ask, what do you have in store for people with disabilities?
What do you have in store for people with disabilities? Because we are a government that will provide for everybody. We give equal opportunity, and we are aware of vulnerability of certain groups. So we need to provide. For example, if you have a hearing aid, a hearing difficulty, or you have some physical inhibitions or whatever, this government will provide for everything fully. If you need to go to school, these are all part of the programs that we're gonna put up. For us, it's like there is no division. We are not looking at all the socially constructed divisions here. Now we want to have a unified country, hence the name National Unity Party. And if you unify people, across tribes, across religion, across physical ability, everything, that would bring people together. So yes, we're gonna have a solid program, whether in our public buildings or facilities, will ensure that people with reduced mobility or with some impairment, are provided for. In our health sector, in our education systems, for example, sometimes in the past, I remember we had people with disability in the same class, but they would make specific provisions for them, to be able to, cope with the learning environment. So these are things that we will put a lot of emphasis on across all sectors.
Since it's Friday, we will just allow 3 more interventions, and then we will call it a day. So let me have 3 more.
Good afternoon. I am from the Foreign Newspaper.
You are back again.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Jan.
Yes.
One of the greatest concerns of Gambians is traffic congestion.
Yes. Yes.
Ambulance find very difficult to reach the entire hospital.
Yes.
People going to work late.
Yeah.
So that is
No, I came early. I came early. I'm an early bird, huh?
It's a concern for every guy.
Yes.
What will the new government do in addressing this traffic?
Okay. You're very right. The problem that we face now is a planning failure, especially urban planning. My belief is even if you build another 100 more routes here, the congestion will still stay, where everybody lives in this part of the country. What do we need to do? Hence our policy on decentralization. Send workplaces away from the city. So, you know that in the morning we all come in one direction, in the evening we all go in one direction. No matter what you do, the congestion will be here. But we have to make Basse relevant, Janjambure relevant, Mansakonkwa relevant, Kerwan relevant. Even the housing schemes, I see no reason why Social Security should be building all the houses around here. Why can't we build affordable housing in Mansakonko or Janjambure? Why can't we take, workplaces in, for me, for example, Ministry of Interior should not even be in Banjul. Agriculture should not be in Banjul. Because one big mistake we have made, after colonialism, we just repopulated colonial institutions with black people. The colonialists came here because the first interest was trade, to bring in tobacco, gunpowder, and collect our precious minerals. After that, they had interest in the plantations in the Americas, slave trade. And their means of access was by sea. So when they come, they settle at seaports. And that's how we had the emergence of our capitals as seaports. Okay? Now, you are here, and in fact, of course, we all know about the colonial history. At some point, Banjul, Batos was the colony, and the rest were protectorates. We know about that. We came after independence, we occupied the same setup, the same institutions. You're ruling 400 kilometers from Banjul.
In fact, the people of this country don't feel the effect of government. That's why when you go around canvassing for votes, they tell you that we are making them just to be better. Because they don't know what government is meant to do for them. It's far removed from them. So it's about time we devolve, we decentralize and take government to the people. And people come here because they come to find something. If they can find it over there shouldn't be any problem. But no matter how hard, look at Lagos. Lagos, you can never get rid of the traffic congestion there. But there is poor urban planning. That's why they decided at some point to move the capital to Abuja. So it's in the same way, we can build roads, we can do whatever we do, but we need to decentralize. We need to take facilities away from Banjul, so that people will have access to whatever they need, whatever will make life better for them in their various locations, and they don't have to come here. Thank you.
If there is a new person, I'd like to give the opportunity to, before I go back. I think Keba was asking for a second round. Any new person who want to ask a question? Okay, then Keba, you have the final question.
German, you spoke highly of the media. You said before explained you are actually talking very high about the media. I'm not sure whether if you come to office, this present government also did the same thing. Media is my friend, media is my friend. And right now we're seeing the monthly press conferences and some of the things have stopped. Maybe if you also come to office and journalists start asking you millions and billions, you may just close your door and say, well, now go ahead.
I'll tell you something. Something is missing in my biography, and maybe you need to know. I worked as a journalist. I'm among the 4 first employees of the Observer newspaper. Sirif Bojang on Standard, when I was leaving, Kenneth Best asked me to find someone for him. He said, someone similar to you, someone like you. And I took his hands to Kenneth Best. And I have been trained extensively through Thompson's Foundation on journalism. And I know the value of journalism. Not just the but even the tricks of journalism. So I'm not afraid of journalists. You know what I'm saying? And I will not be antagonistic to journalists, because I know the role that you play. You see, we are in this business not for our own selfish interests. If you want to pursue a personal and a selfish life, we would be doing something else. But we know the country needs this. And even if you become a president, you know that not everybody votes for you. But you are going to be the president for everybody. And the dissenting voices, the voices that tell you things that you may not like, they're important. Well, if you know this concept of management by exception, you don't focus on what is right, you focus on what's not right, and that's why you need to work and to make it right. So we don't have any issues with that. Adjust ourselves, we will readjust ourselves, reanalyze ourselves, and correct ourselves. That's what life is all about. It's a kind of a process. So don't worry about that. I have no Achilles heels. Thank you.
Mr. Nana, before we let you go,
yes.
Closing remarks were meant to be done by yourself again. But I may ask if you would want to speak in any of the local languages for clarity and for onward messaging. If not, we'll ask you to do the thank yous by yourself and we'll record the name.
Yeah, I think I'll say thank you. Just to ensure that I think English is common to all of us. So I'll stick to that. None of us is an Englishman here or English woman, so I'll stick to that. But thank you very much. I do appreciate the questions, and I think we are in a position as a party that is now understood by the general public, and to really fight for the elections and to give a good run for the money of any political party in this country. And as a last word, I just want to say, well, we are living with a very, very serious problem at the moment, which is COVID-19. That it's a reality. It's having its toll on our lives, on our economy. And that I'll implore each and every one of us to take it very seriously. We should be each other's keeper. We should ensure that, we not compounding the problem, as it is. We should do all that we can to ensure that we get rid of COVID, and by following all the protocols and prescriptions, that are being put forward by our health authorities as well as the WHO. I thank you all very much. I just want to say to you that you have a party that will unify this country, hence the name National Unity Party. We have seen unity in every party, but this is a National Unity Party, and then we know that it's a people's party. It has an agenda. The people are at the core of this party. So come and join us. Let's get this country to another level. I'm sure we can. I'm not a believer that if you don't have the resources, you cannot. No, you create the resources. Someone just criticized me the other day saying that, well, it's among the party, our party, one of our young folks, that he always refer to Singapore. I say, yeah, because that's an amazing country, a country that never really had any resource. Even water they imported from Malaysia. Even water that they drink, they imported. There was no drinkable potable water in Singapore. And if today they can boast of the advancements and the development, we are way a lot better, compared to where they started, And I know we have an amazing geography. We're endowed in a different way, and if we have the will and the desire to move forward and to make life better for our people, we should be able to do it. So I thank you all very much for coming to this press conference.
Mr. Dana, I want to break protocol.
Yes, please.
Our ladies and gentlemen of the media missed the point.
Yes.
You were at civil aviation for quite a period.
Yes.
And we have spent $14 million in facelifting the airport.
Yes.
Recently, there was water everywhere and it was flooding. What's your view? Was it wasted money?
No.
What's your view about that? Because we expected after $40 million that we would have had an international standard airport.
You're very right. You're very right. The thing about this 14 million, which I know is more than 14 million. The people are just talking about the 14 million. It's more than that. The first thing that people need to understand is the way that project itself operated. No monies come to Gambia. The monies sit with the funding agencies. Okay? Now, the contract for the consultant and the contractor are all done through international competitive bidding, with strong input from the funding agencies, like Saudi Fund. They do have a core team of engineers who manage their project portfolios. Now, the consultant for the project is NACO, which is the Netherlands Airport Consultants. They are part of the Royal Haskoning Group. It's a big group, European group. And they're known to build airports across the world, from Australia to the US to Canada to the Middle East, everywhere. So they have that reputation. Now, what we did at that airport was to actually reconstruct. Most people thought it was just renovation. It's not renovation, that's reconstruction of the airport. If you had seen the airport before and now, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The entire interior has been changed, remodeled completely. In fact, we kept just the outer casing because it was voted as the terminal itself was voted as one of the 10 most iconic terminal buildings in the world. And because of that, we decided not to tamper with the casing and the aesthetics and everything, but we worked more on the functionality of the building. Because if you use the airport before, you know that when you go to security check, there was only one and one standby. Now you have 4 lanes. So you see, it's increased by like 200% or even more. Now, if you look at the ground floor, we have changed it now. We increased the floor space, the floor space area on the ground floor, and sent some of the ancillary services to another level. Now, we have also introduced systems like explosive detection systems. These are very expensive. Airport systems are expensive. If I tell you what one tomography is, about almost €1 million, that's a lot of money. So airport is a very expensive business. Now, we have completely remove the cabling in that building and replace it with about 40 kilometers of cable buried in that building. So a lot of things are that the building management system, the conveyor system, everything has changed. So it's that expensive. If it comes to the flooding happens everywhere. I'm sorry, even in Europe, in the news, we hear about flooding. Nobody can determine the amount of rainfall. What you do with your planning is based on data and statistics available. But if you have an unusual downpour, torrential downpour, it's very difficult to contend with. Before I left, actually, there was something that we were looking at. We're looking at how we can sort of increase the channels, around the drainages, so that we will be able to deal with, this is not the first time it flooded, mind you, but this is the one that actually caught the attention of the people because it was an unusual, downpour of rain. And of course, you understand the design of the airport itself. It's like it's in a valley. So if you are unable to have an efficient or wide enough drainage system to take it, it will flood at some point. But I can tell you that money is money well spent. It's not just on the terminal, but it's also on the control tower building. It's also on the apron. It's also on the standby, service, electrical services. These are all there. And you have to understand one thing. Banjul, up to now, is the last point of departure, meaning is one of the few airports in Africa that can stage flights directly to points in the United States of America. Even Kenya, with all the Kenya, it's only about 2018 that they had that. Dakar here during 9/11, they had to delist them from last point of departure, and we are advised to come and understudy the system in Banjul for them to be able to have it restored. And that was the reason why Air Africa was flying, through Banjul to the United States. So, I think that's money well spent. And the airport is now, when it is done completely, because we have these self-check-in, facilities and everything that are going to come with it, it will be a contactless airport, which is also consistent with what is being advocated for since advent of COVID. Because we want to limit human contact. So you should be able to just go to the machine and do whatever you need to do, to process yourself through the airport. So that is, if it is 14 million, it's well spent. And there are no leakages there because the consulting firm is well regulated internationally. So it's not going to charge you $10 for something which will cost $5. It will not. And every work is measured and every work is certified. So to tell you the truth, most people didn't even understand. They thought maybe monies are in central bank or somewhere. Someone will pull the money and pay somewhere. That never really happened. Okay?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to the National Unity Party unveiling of its president's candidate, Mr. Abdullah Ibrahim Jammeh. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you. And those of you who would like to take photos, he'll be available for photo session. And for media that would want to have individual interviews, we can also send that out right after this. And Mr. Manja, if we can get the statements also to the media, copies of it they are asking for.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.